Hello. Hello. I hope this is on and working. Oh, it looks like my video thing is dead. I'll have to fix that. I've been doing a lot of editing and updating to the stream recently, so it's kind of a little work in progress right now. Hang on, let me get this going. Oh my gosh. Turn down the music just a little bit. Hopefully we can still hear it. It is crazy on here. I have a lot of open little things that I have to deal with, but I am happy to be back. Let's see here. Just a second, let me make sure here we can all hear what is going on here. Because currently right now it is just silence from what I can see on your end. That's gonna be a problem. Because currently right now, there we go, there's me. Just silence from what I can see on your end. That's gonna be a problem. Alright, well, cool. Because currently right now, there we go, there's me. Just silence. Alright, well, cool. Because currently right now, there we go, there's just silence. Okay, cool. Alright, turn the music back up a little bit. Make sure that we can see. Oh, there we go. Now we got a moving video. Oh, and it's dead again. I don't know what's going on with this video, you guys. Yeah, the streaming soon thing is absolutely broken. That sucks. I will have to fix that later. I don't know what I'm gonna have to do. But now that I know that you can hear me and you can tell that I was on my own stream trying to figure this out, let's turn off this stream soon thing and get to me. So I'm here. See me, hopefully, and see my webcam. Let's make sure that we got music still playing. There we go. Now we should still have music. Hopefully y'all can hear that. Put it down just a tad. I'll hear. Yeah. Mic up just a little bit so you can hear me. Here we go. So, things have been fun and interesting in the, year that I hadn't streamed. So, it's been a while. I hope everybody had a good year. I kind of had one of the worst years that I've had in a while, so I took a break from streaming. I took a break from a lot of things, including making art, including just a lot. There's a lot to go into about it, but I just couldn't bring myself to do anything for about a year, and I think a lot of people probably are in that boat. But in that year, I'm sure you can see all of this looks different. Yes, I am back, and I am excited to be back. But yeah, all of my stream stuff looks different. I'm still uploading everything and getting it all to look the way I want it to. So this is temporary. Everything will be probably looking a lot different in the next few months or so. But I wanted to get back in and get back to streaming quickly, because if I don't do it now, I know myself and I know I will stop streaming entirely if I don't just bring myself to do it now. So I'm back, at least for the time being. I'm back doing art. I'm back doing some drawing streaming, and I'm excited to be here. Excited to get some stream stuff going. Yeah, I also have some pipeline stuff kind of coming down soon with some like new videos, some new challenge ideas for drawing, some stuff on my Patreon and everything like that, which is all gonna come in the next month or so, along with the comic that I have been working on for about a year, which is half the reason why I was gone from streaming for a long time. So hopefully all of that comes soon. Let's see here. I don't think I can make my chat box visible on here, which sucks. I don't know. I am still in the means of like fixing everything since I uploaded my new backdrop here, and since I made everything different on my stream. So this is gonna be a janky stream, and I kind of apologize for that, but not really. I just want to be back, honestly. Weird. I'm getting a lot of stream updates on here that are not fun. But yeah, I guess since I have everything open, you can kind of see what's happening, or actually that direction. You can kind of see what's happening today. I am just doing a really chill fan art stream, Breath of the Wild fan art, because I'm excited for the game, and I feel like I'm one of the only people that is anymore, because the game has had no news or anything in the past forever. So I wanted to do something, chill and fun that would not cause me a lot of stress today. So I will be doing some Breath of the Wild fan art and just kind of like chatting about things, talking about, life and stuff going on. I hope that is fun. Eventually I should have a stream that is viewable again, I hope. But for now, I think I might have to do the crazy. I don't know. I have no idea what I am doing here. Art slump, yeah, life is tough. I hope it gets better for both of us, but I hope it gets better for everyone out there. I feel like a lot of people in the creative field have just been in a slump since things got better and worse and better with pandemic stuff, as well as like a lot of things in life have been crazy for everyone. Feels like the world is kind of going in a bunch of different directions. So yeah, I definitely hope that things get better. I personally had some really interesting, weird things happen to me, which caused me to stop existing online for a bit. I kind of had to take a long break from the internet, my drawing stuff. But yeah, I kind of had to take a long internet break because of some like lawsuit stuff that was happening with an ex of mine, where they were coming after people that knew me and being awful. So I had to avoid being on the internet for quite a bit, keep people safe, and also just for my own mental health, I had to just pull away, which always sucks to do. I hate having to do that, and so I just have been in a slump since then, since knowing about it, because anything that happens with that person kind of puts me into a bad headspace, not want to function in society anymore. And I don't like them having that kind of power over me, but at the same time, I kind of have to take care of myself, you know? Gotta take care of you. So yeah, it's been a weird time, and I don't know. I want to be back, and I want to not have to worry about that stuff anymore. So I'm hoping that by getting back into it, getting back to streaming, getting back to doing stuff, that I will stop having to worry as much. But here's hoping. We'll see, I guess. But yeah, other than that, I've been doing a lot of like art stuff recently. A lot of working on things. A lot of just quietly in the behind the scenes doing stuff. And I think in the like new setup and everything that I'm gonna have, I think I'm gonna probably be streaming less, which is normally considered bad news, but I think it's good news because I'll be working on a lot more actual like content stuff instead of streaming. So hopefully that will be better. I just really don't want to do streaming as like my main focus anymore. I went through this like really bad time where I wasn't sure if I even wanted to do art as my main focus anymore. Just it didn't seem right for me. Nothing was going right. I wasn't able to focus, wasn't able to draw, and what brought me back was realizing that even when I was like, no, I'm taking an art hiatus, I'm not going to be on the internet, I'm not going to talk to anyone, and I lost contact with all of my social media as well, so I couldn't even log in if I wanted to, because I lost computer access. But during all of that, the thing that brought me back to making art and doing stuff like this was the fact that I couldn't stop myself. I kept working on it. Obviously, I have the new like stream overlay happening. That wasn't always a plan, so like unfortunately, I can't stop myself from working even when I want to. I just bit the bullet and said, all right, well, if I am going to focus on this, whether I want to or not, I might as well focus in a fun and good way. Might as well make it a you know, part of who I am in a good, healthy way instead of in oh, I have to stay up until 5 a.m. and get all this stuff done kind of way. So I have been working a lot on setting healthy boundaries for myself and not destroying myself to art that doesn't make me happy. And that resulted in a lot of missing deadlines and stuff, which put me in an anxiety spiral for a year. But I feel like I'm out of it now. I feel like I can finally focus on getting things done, which it always feels like a weird cycle where I like feel like I can get things done and I start to do work and then I get behind and then I panic because I'm behind and then I do no work because I'm panicking and then I get behind, really behind, and then I can't do work and then I avoid the internet because if I'm seen doing something that's not a deadline that I have, I'll panic and, you know, think that people hate me. And that's just not very healthy for anybody. So, you know, I hope that setting kind of healthy boundaries of like, I stream on these times whether or not I have work to do, and like I put out this kind of content whether or not I have work to do, will help that and will help me be a little bit more consistent with everything. hopefully a little bit less annoyed with having to do work for my stream stuff. So, you know, in the future, it'll hopefully be better, but you never know what will happen, and you just kind of have to roll with it. I'm hoping that if I roll with it enough that I will get to a point where I'll be happy with the streams that I'm putting out and everything. I have chronic perfectionist disease, so I am definitely the type of person that, like, if it's not exactly how I picture it in my head, it's wrong and incorrect. And I've never grown out of that, really. I've never, like, figured out a way to not be a perfectionist. Which really, like, in a lot of ways it's a good trait, but it can also completely destroy your entire life if you let it. So I don't know. I'm hoping that these new boundaries will make that a little bit better as well. But yeah, I've just been chilling. Things that I missed while I wasn't streaming. Yes, I have played Elden Ring. I have been playing it. I've beaten the game once. I enjoyed it. Good game, very good game. I have some Elden Ring fan art planned. I really liked. I know that it's like old news or whatever, but I don't care. I want to draw characters from it. I've been wanting to do that since the game came out, and I just haven't had time or energy to draw anything. So I've just been really wanting to do some cool fan art. So that's coming. But yes, Elden Ring was fun. Probably for me, the best game I've played in a couple of years. I love Souls games, so of course I was gonna love Elden Ring, but it's the kind of Souls game that I always wanted. That sort of like open world, fun to explore kind of Souls game. It's a little bit easier than other Souls games, which I think in some ways is a benefit and in some ways is like a detriment, but it definitely held my attention. I love the world and the story. I like really got into it when it came out. I bought it, you know, obviously I pre-ordered, had it the day that it came out, and like I remember just sitting on my couch for hours on end playing it. And there's been a lot of criticism of like the repeating bosses and the strange kind of world building that isn't the same, and how the PvP is a little janky. And those are all valid, but I respectfully, I just really liked the game. I know a lot of people didn't. I know a lot of Souls players thought it wasn't hard enough, and a lot of not Souls players thought it was too punishing. I feel like it was like that perfect middle, at least for me, where I felt challenged by the game, which is something that I find really important. Like I felt challenged enough, but I didn't feel like held back at all. I felt like I could just play the game for hours on end and not get bored. It's kind of the best thing that I've experienced in a long time. I'm definitely like the kind of person where I don't like my handheld when it comes to games, so I run into that problem a lot. I know I ran into this with Pokemon recently, where I just don't like it when games treat me like I am 5 years old, and the newest Pokemon game was probably the biggest like thing that did that, and it made me hate Pokemon for a bit. So I know everyone's like super excited about Scarlet and Violet, and I'll probably play it, but I'm not gonna be buying it on like day or anything. I'm probably gonna wait until it's cheaper, and I won't be playing it instead. Which, you know, that's how I was with Sword and Shield, and it was fine. I really didn't like that game either. I just feel like Pokemon games going in a direction that I dislike, which sucks. They were such a big part of my childhood. I don't know. Maybe this new one will prove me wrong. But yeah, those have been like recent games I've played. I haven't played Stray, but I've watched other people play it, and it's amazing, phenomenal. Definitely like Game of the Year worthy. You know that it's probably gonna win Game of the Year. It's like one of those games that just is good, and there's, you know, no contesting it. Like, predictable story, but you know, what doesn't have stories are just like that. But like, definitely a really good game. I really liked, and if I had more wherewithal, I would probably do that too. Cute cat game is cute and too short. You're right, it is too short. Unfortunately, it is very short. I feel like it could benefit from longer story, and the story being extremely predictable doesn't really help how short it is, because it's like from the moment that you kind of enter the diseased part of the game, you kind of know where it's going. You know that the cat's gonna get out, and spoilers, but you know that the cat's gonna get out and the robot's not going to. At least I did. There was all the telegraphs there of like, oh, you know, care about this robot guy because he's not gonna be here forever, kind of thing. And I just that kind of like heart-wrenching story just stopped working on me after a bit. It just doesn't seem genuine, and I know that with the writing of that story, specifically with the writing of Stray, like there is a genuine core to it, but that's the type of like grabbing your heartstrings just didn't work for me. Yeah, any anti-capitalist, anti-authoritarian story, yeah, I agree with that. I feel like it is a breath of fresh air in that sense. Especially, like, the thing that got to me, there's this Pixar movie that is kind of similar to it, and like, it's just one of those things where I've seen that story done before, but if it's done well, it's good, you know? So I really enjoyed it, even though it was like predictable. I feel like if they had done a longer story, it would have dragged a little bit, but I do think that they could add more lore stuff, and it would have been more fun. Especially lore around like the robots and stuff, because a lot of that was really vague, which makes sense because you're just a cat in this world, like you're exploring, but I would have liked some more, you know, concrete lore, established things, and like more to do with the characters, because I feel like they like developed really cool characters and then like you never see them again. Like, I really like the first of the robots that you speak to as the cat, the guy with the pole in the beginning, that like is in that first like settlement in the lower part of the city. I really like his design, and then like he has nothing to do with the story. It just sucked, and I was like, I wanted to see him come back. I wanted to see more. Yeah, the game was definitely some anti-capitalist vibes, 100%, which I love. I just had like a long conversation about that with a friend, which I want more media with that vibe. I feel like there's a lot that you could do with the kind of especially with Stray, the overlaid like pandemic plotline on top of that. I feel like there's a lot of cool stuff to be said about that. Like, one of my favorite movies of all time is Train to Busan, which is a Korean film, and it is anti-capitalist vibes, like anti-imperialism, really good, but then also a zombie film on top of it, which is so cool. And then the writing is really good, which I just really liked. It was super fun. But yeah, definitely that one, and like Parasite. Obviously, everyone was ranting and raving about Parasite a couple years ago because of the awards, but Definitely a movie worth watching with the same kind of vibes. I feel like anything that does that and does it well, good job in my book. Like I really, really want more of that kind of media where it's like anti-capitalist vibes, but then the story isn't just billionaires bad, because like true, accurate, but also like give me someone to root for, give me like a good story, like the cute cat game, fucking amazing, because cat good, everyone loves cat. And I feel like that's the kind of storyline that we need when we're talking about like active and like good, you know, story writing in that sense. You can't just be like, I want this to be no capitalism, and then just not have a story. Like, you should, if you haven't seen Parasite or Train to Busan, and you like horror, they are both very scary. They're very good movies, though. Parasite is about the lower class, and how the upper class kind of sees them as a parasite on society, but the lower class, but the upper class, like, actually is the parasite. And then Train to Busan is a fun zombie dad flick that just has a lot of fun anti-capitalist messaging about like how the business people, the elite, the wealthy elite, are the first ones to throw other people under the bus in the zombie pandemic, and it's just a bunch of dads trying to get out of a zombie-infested Busan, or well, zombie-infested small towns leading to Busan, and to get to Busan for their families. There's just a lot of really good dads. There's like 3 dads. There's a really, really amazing jock dad that I love that is just a really well done kind of character who he's like not ready to be a dad, and it hits. It's a good way of writing that kind of story. It's like so many people a couple years ago were talking about The Walking Dead and how good that was, and like, oh, you know, zombies and all that stuff, and I never really got into The Walking Dead because when you do zombie stories, there's like one of 2 ways it can go. There's either, I feel like there's zombie stories that have to do with, you know, like systemic issues, and then there's zombie stories that are just end of the world prepper kind of stories, and I tend to not like the end of the world prepper zombie stories. Not that they're like bad, but just like ones where it's like, oh, how we solve this problem is everyone needs a weapon and we all need to like have a bunker and like be militaristic. That's the only way to solve this. Whereas like Train to Busan's take on zombies is we have to protect each other. We have to like have healthcare, and we have to, when someone's suffering, we have to like step out of our way to help them and stuff like that. Which I think is a more wholesome, like better done zombie kind of narrative. Which a lot of people say that zombies are overdone, and I tend to disagree. I just feel like they're not done in a way that's relatable to like modern sensibilities and younger people. Not relatable in the sense of like things that we actually care about, because the original zombie kind of film and kind of mentality around zombies was really about like the fear of like immigration, like a lot of horror tropes in the past, and so to make zombies more relatable to like modern day when that fear isn't so much around, you have to find something to relate it to people. And I feel like Train to Busan found that. Train to Busan found something that people care about, like parenthood and caring about others and you know, like that kind of storyline and put it to use in a really, really well done way. Definitely one of those things where, like, it's got the messaging that I like, but it's a good movie too. So I can't recommend it highly enough. It's so good. And then like Parasite is just a good horror movie. I love horror movies that have ANCAP propaganda in them, but Parasite is one of those that really, really fun to watch. Yeah, those movies really, really got to me. I wonder if there's anything else that has come out in the past like couple of years that since I haven't been streaming. Well, like year, I don't know. Like I know I've watched a lot of media in the year that I haven't been making content, because I've been trying to recharge and, you know, enjoy life and not stress, and so I've been watching a lot of things. I've been going out and seeing movies. Recently I saw Everything Everywhere All at Once, which was fantastic. Really, really good movie. Like that kind of, it's like an action film, but done so well that it doesn't seem like an action film. Definitely really good to see. But I saw that. All kinds of really good stuff. And I feel like this is going not the way that I want it to. I'm gonna delete your art. I'm gonna get rid of the eyes. I don't know. This is another thing that I've been struggling with in the past year is I feel like my art style is changing, and whenever that happens, I like don't really know what to do with myself, because it's like my art isn't where I want it to be, but then there's not a whole lot I can do to make it where I want it to be, so I just have to like suffer with it for like half a year until it gets better. But I've been drawing a lot in my hiatus time, and I've noticed over the year of hiatus that like so much has changed in the way that I draw things, the way that I like focus, and where I put my mentality with drawing. And like right now, so I have this like sketch going on, right? Of all this, but I've got like sketch that I did on a like piece of backdrop here, and very loose and very sketchy and washy, which is not a way that I normally work, which is why like right now I'm going in and adding in extra lines, but as I'm doing that I'm hating it. And I've noticed that in the past year or so, something that's kind of grown with me is that I really, really like not having these like harsh lines. Back before I was doing comics and doing illustration, I was a painter mostly, first and foremost. I was the type of person that type of artist that painted a lot, and I feel like that's coming back to me in a way, where I've been using this calligraphy tool a lot to add down color and to paint things. So I don't know what's happening with me, but I don't know. I guess I'll welcome it while it's here, and start doing some paint. But yeah, I've just been, instead of drawing with lines recently, I've been going in and drawing with chunks of color, and I have this over in the corner here, probably see. I have this new little palette, like over here, very corner, where I just picked this pink up from, that I've been calling my painting palette. And before this, I used to work entirely from my recents. So if I take my palette, kind of go to my color sets here, so you can see I have some color sets. I have Rando, I have, this is the palette that I use for my comics, and stuff like that, but I also used to a lot use this. So this, I know this is in the very corner, might be hard to see, but this in the very corner here is the like, this is the like colors that I have used recently. So every time I use the eyedropper tool, this is where those colors end up. So you can see my most recent color here. You can see the blue that I used for the background there. But I used this more than anything, and now I've switched over to using this like painting palette. That is just an array of colors that I use a whole lot, that I like and that are really fun to paint with. So I've been using that a lot recently, and it's been really easy to make work with it, but I'm still kind of getting my bearings using this kind of style where I don't really draw lines, I just kind of go and paint. Some people would call it like speed painting, but I don't really consider it that, because I do end up with like finished work at the end. But it's kind of taking that speed paint mentality and putting it towards making something that isn't like so focused on lines, so focused on like linearity. I've been doing that recently and really enjoying it. I'm really liking just like not fussing so much about whether or not something is gonna have lines, or whether or not I'm gonna do line art, which sounds really funny because being a comic artist, like the whole thing that you do, lines. And I still do that to some degree. Like when I'm working on comics, I still do that. When I'm putting out something that has lines in it, I still do that. But it's been really nice not having to stress about lines so much. And I think I bit myself in the foot. I made a sketch that's on a color background, and I don't think I want to do that. There we go. Yeah, I've been experimenting with art recently, trying to get myself back into it by experimenting. I have a lot of like sketchbook things where I've just kind of let my brain go unfocused in the same way that you let your eyes go unfocused and just drawn, which I might do in the middle of stream, like in between, once I hit maybe like the hour mark or whatever. Normally I stream for like 2 to 4 hours. I might only do 3 today, just depending on how much time I have. But you know, in the middle of stream I might do like a fun little like sketchbook thing, kind of do some doodles. I've also noticed that something that I've been really having fun with is doing doodles, doing little tiny drawings that mean nothing, and then getting to delete them at the end. Like, that's the best thing. That's like the most fun I've had in these past couple of years, of just like not having to worry about what I'm drawing. Imagine that. Which is part of the reason why the first stream that I wanted to come back really casually was some fan art. I just feel like doing some like serious stuff would just upset me at this point. Find a good brush. That's the other thing that I've been working on. More brushes that I like, brushes that I'm happy. So I've been building brushes from the ground up, Clip Studio, which I highly recommend if you like Clip Studio as a medium. Their brush building is so intuitive and fun to do. So if you are painting or drawing and you find that there's not a brush that you like or something, build it. Make it yourself. Make the brush. It's not as hard as it looks. It's really, really fun to do. Cannot recommend that enough. It's so much fun. But yeah, I've been just building brushes recently, just like having a good time with it, finding myself some fun brushes, some fun like backdrop stuff to do. I have a bunch of new like assets or things that I didn't have when I started doing art for a living, so a lot of really cool new stuff in the past year that I've kind of downloaded and gotten used to using and all that stuff, which I think contributes to the practice I've been doing and had to do recently, because you get new things and then you forget. It's really weird, but you get new art stuff and it's like you forget how to do art for a bit until you get used to your new stuff. Or at least for me, that's what always happens. I get new things and then I forget, like, oh, that's how you do art. Oh, I remember. Wild. Yeah, I've been working on that stuff, downloading brushes like left and right like crazy, working on getting stuff ready for fun things. I plan on, in the near future, doing some relaunch stuff for going back to convention, which I haven't been to a convention in like 4 years. I just stopped going eventually. I just kind of was like, no, this is no longer fun for me. I used to cosplay a lot at convention, and I had to kind of stop because it wasn't mentally very good for me, because I was spending so much time doing cosplay stuff that I wasn't doing anything else. So I had to kind of quit, and I don't know if I'll ever really go back to cosplay, but I know that I want to go back to convention, and I want to go back to selling art at cons, doing tables, that kind of thing. So hopefully in the near future I'll be back to that as well, and you can hear about me going to those. Conventions have been one of the things that is the most like nerve-wracking but also fun part of doing art. Is nerve-wracking because there's so much effort and time and energy and money that goes into them, but fun because you get to meet cool people and hang out. Just fun times. Oh, I left my tea bag out. Oof. I should probably fix that, but I'm not gonna right now. I'll fix it when I go get some fresh tea. Yeah, conventions have been on my mind lately. I feel like I need to get back to them. The only problem with having a really loose sketch is trying to figure out what you are planning to do with that extremely loose sketch at the beginning. Thinking... I added in a whole bunch of ink around the face. I got rid of it because it wasn't looking right, but I think what I need a less harsh brush and maybe lighter pink. This is what I mean. I want to get back into drawing, and I haven't been drawing a lot, and because of that, I've been changing my art style a whole lot. Exactly what I mean. Like, I start working on something, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, I wanted to do this differently. I've been experimenting with these new brushes a lot. As you can see, a lot of them have this sort of watercolory quality to, which I'm really enjoying the vibes of. When I'm not working digitally, watercolor is my medium. That's just the thing that I love the most, so I end up using it more often than not. That and it because it's so much easier than a lot of other things. And like in an ideal world, I would be using oil paints for everything, but I live in a tiny apartment, so that is not something I can feasibly do. But what I can do, watercolors and gouache, so I use a lot of watercolor and gouache. Make stuff when I'm not working. So that's more of what I was like, sort of like a redneck face. Yeah, then I add whole bottom. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, I've been a lot of fun work, a lot of like preliminary stuff. I talked a little bit at the beginning about a comic happening. So a few years ago, I had this comic that I wanted to start because I wanted to make a webtoon out of it. I had written this comic when I was in university, so it was kind of really important to me, and I really wanted to make something of it while I had the time, while the pandemic was happening, and everyone had time for things, which isn't, but you know, while I had this time to do things, I was like, now's the time to make this comic, because it's really long, kind of long-form graphic novel situation happening that I wasn't sure if I was ever going to get to create, because it was so long and so involved and so much writing that I just wasn't sure about it, and so I never really worked on it, because every time I would start, I would get discouraged, and I would think, oh, well, if I start now with this, I'll end up in 10 years having a different art style and hating what I've made now, and so therefore there's no reason to start, which sucks. Like, don't do that to yourself. Your art's gonna change no matter what you do, so you can't really control it. But so I had that kind of brain worm that I shouldn't start it because things might change, and last year I bullet and started working on it again. It was the first real big story project that I had during university. I never finished it. It was one of those where for my university credit, for the class, I just had to make script and kind of write script down and have that ready to hand in. So I did that, and then I never did anything with it. I made the script, and I made a pitch pack, which is, if you don't know anything about making comics, this like booklet of like everything about the thing, like characters, names of places. Pretty much you're like planning out the story in this like booklet. And so I made that, and I made the script, and I like kind of put them in a folder and forgot about them. I finished the project and hated everything that I had made for it. I don't know, maybe sometime on stream I will like go back and look at art that I made for that. But I really didn't like anything that I made, so I put it away and forgot about it and told myself that this just wasn't a project that I needed to work on. And I, like, all the years of university, that was like my thought process. Like, you know, I really didn't like what I made, and therefore the story itself was bad. And it took me a long time to kind of get to a point where that didn't feel like the case anymore, where I can now work on it without hating it. There was a lot about the story that I didn't like. There was a lot that I wanted to fix. There was a lot that just didn't seem to work for me. So I spent a lot of time fixing it over the past year. And now I am done fixing. At least I think. So happy to. But yeah, I feel like I'm done. There's a lot to it that I still need to do before it comes out, so it's not going to be this month or even next month, but in the next couple of months. I currently I'm like just before test readers right now, which, you know, I'm doing this all myself, so a lot of people have been telling me, like, oh, you don't need to do test readers, just like, I'll put it out there. But I am nothing if not really perfectionist about everything. So I want to do test readers. I want to make sure that what I'm making is good, fun to read, is enjoyable for everyone. So I'm going through some test readers right now. I have like a group of friends that insists on being my test readers, so that. But I actually want to get like some hired test readers as well for it. So I'm in the process of looking for those. And then once I have them, we will be doing test reading and then releasing. And could not be happier. It's a long time coming with this story. I hope it's one that a lot of people can enjoy. It's like, without spoiling too much, it's kind of fantasy, like a smidge of sci-fi, but not really. I like fantasy, but not high fantasy. And the distinction that I make between those two is something that really subtle and really precise. But like, people would classify the type of story that I write and the type of story that I like as high fantasy. That's fine. But the difference, I kind of think, is that high fantasy has this regency, kind of regalness to it that none of my work tends to. My stuff is a lot more gritty, and not gritty in the Dark Knight Batman way, but gritty in the there's just a lot more like spooky and a lot more unsettling vibes that I kind of go for. So it's like fantasy with an injection of horror, kind of a little bit. Like, I don't like likening myself to other artists because, like, ultimately I will fall short. But like, a lot of my inspirations are, you know, Guillermo del Toro, that kind of vibe, where it's like it would be classified as horror, but it's like horror fantasy. Like, there's an element to the horror that is not just scare. So it's that kind of story where there's spooky, but it's not all spooky. There's some fantasy that can be latched onto. So it's a bit hard to place and describe as a story, but I'm hoping I can, you know, fit it into people's lives in a fun way. I'm hoping it's good. I'm hoping that everyone who reads it enjoys it. But, you know, only time will tell. It's definitely, as I'm going through test readers right now, I have chapter 1 finished, and it's very, how do I put this? it's the type of story that just like prose-y. I don't know if that makes sense. It's very like kind of like poetry, like poem heavy. It's weird. It's written in first person, which a lot of media recently I've noticed has not been. So I've been a little stressy about that. But yeah, it's written in first person. It's a horror fantasy situation. If you've been here a while, you've probably seen me working on it years, like a year ago, because I did about a year ago work on it on stream a couple of times. Just like the first page, because there's also some like history elements that I didn't really want to like reveal at the time. But I did work on it a little bit in the stream and had a good time doing it. So you might have seen all that. But yeah, that's been my most big recent project recently. Just working on that, getting that squared away, getting all the promo stuff for it, that stuff. Currently gonna be I was gonna have a publisher for it, but couldn't come to an agreement, couldn't see eye to eye with things. So instead, I am just gonna self-publish. I'm gonna make it a webtoon, because why not? Pretty easy to do, and it'll also be probably up on Patreon. I'm not sure if it'll be a like free for patrons situation, or if it will be more like free for certain tiers, or what will happen. But I'm gonna start with webtoon and then just do progress pages on Patreon before I fully release everything. Currently up on my Patreon, there's some world building stuff about it, like just fun world building. Not a lot, it's like a sketchbook doodle and character, but that's the thing that was the most difficult about it. Character. I am a character designer by heart. I really like to design characters. But this push, I'm incredibly perfectionist when it comes to making things. So doing character designs, doing many character designs for comic, and doing them to the quality that I can approve of was next to impossible. It nearly killed me. It just was awful. I hate it. I hated doing character designs when I was at university for this same reason. Because I am so perfectionist. I don't know if like many people kind of know what goes into character designing, but like it's not just, oh hey, draw this character. For the most part, like you have to do what's called a turnaround, and turnarounds are these like full body drawings of the character, usually 2 to 5 at a time, of like different poses, different facial expressions, things like that, where it's just different things about the character. Some people add, like I'm one of some people, but people add like things that the character is carrying, things that the character, like facial expressions the character makes at certain times, that kind of thing. And you have to make one of these for each character. So for each character that I had, I was drawing anywhere from 5, 9 drawings, and in the comic there are at least, I only did this for like the main characters, but there were still at least like 7 characters that I did this for. And then you add on top of that like concept drawing for like the concept of the world and building everything. making sure that the world is populated with buildings and style and color and all that stuff. So all of that takes a long time. It's not just, I mean, I know some artists that can just like make a thing, and I'm jealous. I'm incredibly jealous. But I've never been that kind of artist. I've always been, I need so much time to plan this or else I will be upset. So character designing took forever, and then like once I was done with character designs, it was like, oh, now I have to build the place that all these people live. So then it's just another, challenge on top of what I've just done. And for a while, that's what it seemed like with this comic. That's what it really just was. It was just challenge mode repeatedly. Oh, I'm done with this thing. I can feel good about it for 0.5 seconds, and then I have to immediately stress out about the next thing I have to make. And then on top of that, I was doing commissions and all kinds of other things as well. So, this past year, even though I haven't been on the internet, there has been a lot that I've had to do. So I've just been, like, trying to do all of that, and trying to get back to drawing and everything. It's been a while. It's been a time, and I'm hoping with the release of this comic that things will kind of slow down a little bit. At least partially. You don't need extremely slow, but I like a casual life. I like a slow day, a day where I can chill, stream just nonsense like this, and talk and chatter. So hopefully soon, but never know. Yeah, that's where I've been recently. Making that stuff, getting stuff ready for relaunching everything, and doing millions of character design turnarounds, millions, so many, so much. Now realizing that this here is supposed to be outfit. That I think I finally found the brush that I like, by the way. Like, what is this? Hour into the stream, I found good brush. This like flat coloring kind of brush. It pushes paint really well, but it has bristles, so it does add some texture. I'm working much on things. I've had a lot of commissions recently that I've had to put on the back burner. Sucks, but I've communicated with all the people and I told them what's going on, and everyone's been super chill and understanding, especially with my crazy stalker person tried to make things bad for me. They've been really cool about that and kind of understand about all of that as well, which don't, if worried, don't stress out about that. I'm fine, things are fine. This person is not gonna get me, fine. But it was something where I had to for my I got recommendation from my therapist as well as a couple of other people in my life that were like, hey, for your own health, avoid being public right now. Take some time, walk away, and I feel like that was good advice. I feel like that was a good plan for me, because this person just one of the people that doesn't let go. Been many a year since we were together, and they still are hung up on destroying my life, which is dumb. But best thing you can do in that scenario, at least in my opinion, going, and when you need to take time away, yeah, that's kind of part of the reason why I've been gone. I didn't want to be around for what was going to happen with that, and it wasn't even really a thing about me, which was the most baffling thing of it all. It wasn't about me. It was to deal with someone else, but it was still scary enough that I felt it necessary to kind of block it out and, you know, keep myself away from it. So definitely be careful ever encounter someone who won't leave you or anything like that. Can be very dangerous if out there. Take time away. Yeah, that's been a worry on my mind for a bit, but thankfully, you know, calmed down a lot. There's not as much stress, and good to be back, more safe with things. Definitely not back to my full capacity still, but there. Yeah, it's just been a strange kind of thing been going on. Had to kind of sit in my own house and deal with sucks, but you know, you get used to it. I've just been doing that one time. Figure out where I meant for this like shawl thing to be. Like, I know where it is in his art for the new game, but I'm having a hard time imagining where it ends on here. It's like it's a weird like tied around the waist, but then also around the body kind of situation going on. So I don't know where it kind of ends, begins. I know that there's like a part down here that goes down because it's like a tunic, but it's like wrapped around the chest. I know that's there. But I don't know. This might end up changing. Yeah. So, having like, I don't know if this is something that's been happening to everybody recently or if it's just me. Maybe this is just a result of like stress and everything going on in the world and everything. But I've been having a really tough time like getting excited for things. No. Not so much, like, I was excited for Elden Ring, and in a way I'm still happy and excited about Elden Ring, like, playing the game. I'm going through my like 4th playthrough. I want all of the endings and I want to play it and enjoy it. I spent $60 on that game. But like, you know, I've been having a tough time finding excitement for things and not like, I know a lot of people when I tell them this, they're like, bro, that's called depression. Like, true, but I'm not really feeling this in a depression kind of way. More like in a, like, I don't want to enjoy thing because as soon as I enjoy thing, everyone is already over it, if that makes sense. It's like the world moves too fast. So I've been having trouble investing time and energy in it because I feel like by the time I invest time and energy in it, it's already gone from like the like, you know, world or whatever. It's already made its rounds and everyone's over it. And I've been feeling like that for a long time. This isn't like a recent but it's recently gotten a lot worse, and I don't know if that's because the internet's became different over the pandemic, had more time, so they, had more that they were just on the internet constantly, and therefore anything that did come out was just consumed within an instant, or maybe it has something to do with the psychology of being in an unsure state with things. Obviously I live in America right now, which and if it's just the stress of all of that, if that's part of it, I don't know, but I've just been struggling a lot with enjoying things, and struggling a lot with getting, hyping myself up to like something. I talked a lot about, Elden Ring and, the cat game, which is really cute and fun, but I, didn't felt like I wasn't allowed to enjoy it, in a way. I felt like, oh, if I enjoy this thing, as soon as I enjoy it, it's gonna go away. Someone's gonna take it from me. And I don't like feeling like that, but that's what it feels like when a lot of times, things like Elden Ring. I was extremely excited for Elden Ring. I was so hype when it was coming out. I, was pre-ordered it. I was so ready because I love FromSoft games. That's my favorite game studio. I love how the games are written. I love the worlds that are built. It's really good high fantasy adventure bullshit. I love it. So definitely an entertaining, game that I was looking forward to. And when Elden Ring came out, I was like, yes, finally a game that I can be excited about, and talk to people about. And for a month it was super exciting, super fun, 100% the kind of game that I wanted it to be. And then I don't know what happened, but something turned, and suddenly everyone was like, I'm over it. I'm over Elden Ring. I'm over it. It's dumb. It's dumb and stupid, and it's only for people who are gamer bro people and all that stuff. And I'm not unaware of the culture around Souls games. I know that it has a certain kind of culture to it, which I hate. But I've never seen people turn like that so quickly. It was within a month, people were done with the game. They were like, I'm never playing it again. I've played through it once and I'm not picking it back up. And I just there are other endings to see, there's more stuff to explore, it's fun. And then the second people said oh, I'm not picking the game back up, it was it opened the floodgates to hating the game, where I think people who are resentful that FromSoft games get so popular so quickly, as soon as people were saying, oh yeah, this one thing I didn't like about this game, it's that was an invitation for everyone to be oh, this game is awful, this game is really bad, and we shouldn't like it, kind of thing. And I just I don't like that kind of energy when I'm enjoying things. This is part of the reason why I'm not in any fandoms, even though I really am a fan of a lot of things. I avoid fandom because I can't deal with that kind of energy, where it's consume thing all at once and then be done with it. I can't do that. It just upsets me. And I noticed that happening over the past year or so with a lot of things, and that's kind of contributed to me not being able to enjoy stuff in a way that I guess did put me into a depression, but not because it wasn't a result of me being depressed and then not being able to my hobbies or anything. It's more my hobbies made me depressed because I was really enjoying this game, and then to log onto the internet and see everybody absolutely hate it for no reason. And like some criticisms of the game are valid, and I do agree with them, and I agree with a lot of criticisms of a lot of games. But it was like as soon as a criticism was found, it was like the floodgates. Like, oh, there's one criticism of the game is awful, and it's like that's not what should be. I don't. Like, it's still a really good game. There's some stuff wrong with it, but it's a good game. And like the same way that I feel about the cat game is like, I love that game. It was so cute, so fun to watch. I didn't get to play it, and I don't think I will, just because I know the story now, and I've like watched people play it, and I have trouble getting into games once I know like the story. So I don't think I'll be playing Cat Game, but like still a really good game. And it was like as soon as everybody had gotten a chance to play and or see it, suddenly it was like, Cat Game's not good actually. Cat Game too short. Cat Game, this thing wrong with it. This thing wrong with it. And it's like people have this reactionary sort of mentality around stuff like that, around media, where it's like, people don't like the one thing I like, therefore they're wrong. And or people don't like the one thing I like, so I'm gonna go into this other fandom and yell at them about their own thing that they like, because then they'll come over to my fandom. Like, this thing that I like is so much better than what you like. And it's a weird elitism and a weird kind of mentality to have that I've never understood as like a queer autistic person. Like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. And that's been causing me a lot of like upset around media. Things that I like, that I feel like I'm not allowed to enjoy anymore. Like, I try to talk to people about Elden Ring, and they're like, yeah, I've seen it. It's like, I want to talk about the things I like. And I feel that way about like making art too. I always feel left behind, especially with stuff like my fan art things. Like, I feel left behind with like fan art stuff, because obviously if I'm not making art for the current new thing, I'm behind, and it just feels awful to be in that position. It feels so bad to be an artist that like it got me in this headspace where I didn't want to do art, because it like didn't feel good, because I was spending so much time trying to like focus on like, what's the next big thing? What can I make fan art of that like people will recognize? What can I make fan art of that people will buy? Like, and that was just my sole focus for so long. And I had to like sit down with myself and think, this isn't how I want to live. This isn't why I became an artist. This isn't the thing that I wanted to do with my art. And for a long time I was doing commissions like pretty seriously and taking a lot of time to do them, and I had to kind of quit doing that as well, because I was spending so much time on commissions and then so much time on like trying to be caught up with everything modern, that I wasn't making anything of my own. I was just kind of like floating through life, like making nothing, enjoying nothing. Every time I would see something or do something, I would be like, oh, cool, this is a thing that I can turn into content. This is a thing that I can like make fan art of. Like, and if I couldn't make art of it, it had no value to me. And I don't want to live that way. It sucks to live that way, and I feel bad for anyone who has to live that way. I don't think that everyone deals with this problem, but I do think that it's like really pervasive in the art community, unfortunately. And so like I see some people that are killing themselves to make content for things. I just can't live that way anymore. I just don't want to. So I kind of made the decision with myself in the most like past month or two, that I'm just gonna make things that I want to make in the moment, in the day. And I know a couple years ago when I first started streaming, that was kind of what I told myself. It was like, I'm gonna make the thing that I want to in the moment, and if anyone wants to participate with me in that, they will. And I don't know when it's like every couple years I lose that, and I have to find it again. Maybe that's just the cycle of an artist, arts. But I felt like I lost it. I felt like I lost that mentality of like, make the things that you enjoy, make the things that you like. And recently I've find it again and get back to it. Fingers crossed. But yeah, if you notice that in the next like few months that I'm making fan art, that like it's not relevant fan art, like it's not modern pieces. Obviously I'm doing fan art right now for a game that hasn't even come out. Like that's part of why. There's also just, I feel like there's a backlog of like stuff that I've wanted to draw that I've never gotten the chance to because I don't have energy or time because I'm always working on other things. Just really want to make stuff stuff that I'm happy and proud of. So if there's something that I'm making that like isn't the most popular thing right now, that's kind of just how it's gonna be. Starting back into streaming, back into drawing, and eventually I will get around to more modern media and like, you know, paying more attention to things. But I feel like I just don't want to live that way in my life. I don't want to like have to always be on Twitter and like know what is the most tagged thing so that I can like, you know, be keyed in as an artist. I feel like this is something that's, you know, plaguing a lot of art communities and just communities in general. Art seems born by it. This sort of like mentality that like to be an artist, to like do the popular thing, you like have to be on all the time. You have to like be on the internet. You have to be like, you know, functionally your own assistant as well as like 6 other jobs, and you have to be like, you know, modern and relevant and all this stuff. And that's like never been my goal, and maybe that means I don't want to be a professional artist, but I don't think that's the case. I think it's more I don't like how the arts are treated, that like if you can't be relevant, find like a relevant thing to leech off of, then you have no value. And I don't want to live that way in the art community. I want, you know, I want to be able to make my silly little drawings of silly little things that make me smile and not have to worry whether or not it is the most popular piece of media that just came out, whether or not I can get some good tags for some good like SEO bull crap. You know, I just don't want to do that. And so I've been kind of juggling with that lately too. Like, how do I continue to make things that make me happy and continue to support myself doing it, but also draw like a good boundary for myself where I'm not throwing everything that I've ever enjoyed into this bonfire of content that keeps it up alive and doesn't give me anything back. Because I do feel like occasionally making like fan content for things kind of like eats away at me, makes things, you know, harder to enjoy because I'm like spending all my time worrying about what the content is going to be. Like, how am I gonna draw this? Like, what am I gonna do? And I really noticed that with like the most recent thing that I did fan art of, other than currently, was this piece for Arcane when that came out. And I really love League of Legends character designs, and I used to play League, so I felt like I should draw some fan art. So I did. I drew Jinx, and it was fun to draw. I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed it, but I felt like as I was watching the show, and I couldn't enjoy it because I was worrying so much about studying characters and finding one that I could realistically draw in like a speed draw, and planning out how I was going to do it and what pose I was going to use, all that stuff. And like that's stuff that I do generally anyway when I watch media, but this was like a worry that made me not love the media, made me not enjoy it. And that was kind of like a wake-up call for me of like, oh, it isn't healthy what I'm doing. And I sort of realized I needed to take some time to kind of like think about that, sit with that, and decide whether or not if that's the way that I want it. Because it really is just about the consumption under unfortunate capitalism that we have to deal with. But I realized that wasn't the way that I wanted to do things. That wasn't the kind of style of media that I wanted to enjoy and put forth into the world. So I stopped, and getting back into it, I kind of want to make a promise with myself to not do that again. Not fall down that sort of rabbit hole of trying my best to make relevant content, but like, at the detriment of things that I really like. And maybe if enough artists out there draw that line, make that a thing in their lives, the world around art will be a little bit better, that's just wishful thinking, preachy stuff, but I feel like there is some sort of like reckoning that needs to happen where people need to realize that like healthy, that a lot of artists out there are like really harming themselves to make stuff, and it shouldn't be that way. They shouldn't have to. Just in general, I feel like that's something that, like, there's a broader conversation to have about this, obviously, but I feel like that's something that all as kind of like a society and as people that enjoy art kind of need to have a talk about. And like I've been thinking about, just like things like that I really need to focus on and kind of reevaluate in my life. I've got that, and I've also been having kind of thoughts about like commissions and whether or not I want to keep doing them. And like fundamentally I think I do want to keep doing commissions, but I think the way that I do them has some unhealthy boundaries that I need to get rid of, because something that always stressed me out and contributed to my being gone for many a month is the fact that when I do commissions, when I have open commissions and I have people who are in my commission docket who are waiting on their commission from me, there were a lot of times I got on this stream previous year when I was like actually streaming pretty regularly. There were a lot of times that I got on the stream and I felt obligated to say like, hey, I'm back, I'm gonna be streaming this today, I'm gonna be drawing this today, or whatever. And then I would say, and if you have like a commission from me, like don't worry, that's coming, like I'm still working on it, I'm so sorry. And I've sort of realized that I don't want to do that anymore. Like I don't want to have to qualify that kind of thing. I don't want to have to say like, oh, if you've gotten a commission from me, don't worry, don't stress about it, because I shouldn't have to. I should be allowed to draw things that aren't what the person hired me for, without worrying that the person will be angry with me, because you wouldn't do that to any other person, right? Like to any other, like say you have a doctor or something, and your doctor is going out on the weekend when he's not working, and reading like a medical textbook on the weekend. And so it's like kind of tangential to his work, right? You see him out at a restaurant reading this textbook. You wouldn't like go up to him and be like, "Why aren't you performing surgery right now?" Right? Sorry, I'm opening the internet, so if my stream is a little jittery, that would be why. Anytime. Reference. Once I find this reference, back to what I was saying, but like stream has completely almost died. It's very jittery. I'm so sorry. Normally when I open the internet, it's a little bit less laggy. Has to go. Stopped. We got tag for. Oh, computer. Back to me. Well, I'm gonna let that chill out. Oh. Close down that. Down opera. Sorry about that. Wow, everything just got extremely weird. Is back. Back. Oh my god. Back. Are you back? Okay. Everything's back. Oh my gosh. Anyway. Let me move my stuff so I can sit properly. Oh yeah. That's the other thing. I'm looking at everything, making sure that everything looks okay. And hey, guess what? I have new tattoos. I'm sure you can probably see a lot of them on my arm here. So, brand new tattoos. There's also one on the other side of my arm. I can arm correctly. Yeah, new tattoos happened. I'm planning on having entire arm sleeve full soon. But anyway, as I was saying, I was talking about how, like, people don't seem to enjoy a thing, and how they just kind of, like, drop it after a bit. But, so I have, like, this, sort of, like, fear slash guilt around, like, not working on someone's commission when they're working on it. I was saying, like, you wouldn't do that to any other profession. Like, you wouldn't stop someone who's like a doctor if they're reading like a medical textbook off their shift. But for some reason with artists, it's like, how dare you be drawing something that is not what I hired you to draw at this very moment? And I feel like artists are like the only profession that people do this to. It's just very wild, and I don't know why. And I've never been able to like find an answer. No one that I know has given me a good enough concrete answer of why people treat artists this way, other than just people don't value the arts as an actual job. But like, that really got to me, where I would feel bad, like I would feel wrong for doing art on stream that wasn't my commission, that wasn't commission art that I had been hired to do, you know? Like, I would feel like I was somehow betraying my commissions and, you know, not working on what I should be working on, and all this other stuff. And it brought back a lot of, like, good old, like, failure trauma, like, stuff, for me. And I've always had that fear. I've always kind of felt bad, working on stuff that isn't, you know, my commissions. But, you know, realistically, you kind of I have to like think about what art actually, you know, is. It's a creative thing, and it needs breaks, it needs time. It can't be on all the time, or else you lose it. It's a skill, it's like a muscle you have to like practice. There's a lot of stuff that, you know, you have to take into account when it comes to being creative and to doing creative things. And trying to force working on commissions 24/7 isn't healthy, and it took me a long time to kind of realize that. Like, I felt so bad for so long, because I was like, I'm doing this wrong, like, I should be working on commissions all the time, I don't understand, like, I should have, you know, this should be easy, I should be able to do this, like, really well, work on these 24/7, never have to worry about it. But that's just not realistic. But it is like a standard that people hold you to, especially if you're popular, which I never thought that I was. I'm not at all. But, you know, like, people hold you to this standard of, oh, if you're not working on my commission right now, this very second, how dare you? And I've had a lot of interactions like that. Like, not a whole lot, but, you know, I've had enough that it's ingrained that into my brain. A while ago, I was working on a game job, where I had an interaction like that, and it, in some ways, I think it kind of rewired my brain to be like this. Because, like, I never really, like, it wasn't the sort of thing where I, you know, was causing anybody any, like, problems or anything. I just was doing something else. I went to, in the town where I live, there's a poetry open mic that I go to all the time, and I went to this instead of working through the night on a game project thing. And the person that hired me was at this open mic, so they saw me there, and they were very mad at me. And I didn't understand why at the time, because I was like, I went over and said hi, and they were rude to me, kind of thing. And I was like, I'm at this. mad at me? Did I say something wrong? Like, chat talking about the game? I don't get it. Turns out the day later when I turned things in, when I was sending over files, they were like, these aren't what we wanted, and we're gonna fire you. And it took me a long time to realize that the thing they were mad about was the fact that I was out in public, when they viewed it as, we have a deadline and you should be working toward that deadline all the time. And they were upset with the quality of work that I gave them, even though I had been working toward the deadline whenever I had working hours. But they didn't grasp the concept of working hours. It was like they thought, how dare you be out and enjoying yourself when we have this big project to do, big deadline, and all this stuff. And like anyone that I tell this story to tells me, oh, that's an unhealthy work ethic, and the right to walk away from a job like that kind of thing. But like at the same time, so many of my art friends that I know who also do art for either a living or like, for side money as a side hustle, I've had so many conversations with them where they say they've encountered the same mentality with their commissions, and I have too, where the person who commissioned them is sort of like holding it over them, being like, oh, how dare you be working on this other thing when you could be working on what I want you to work on. And it's a really kind of toxic way of looking at arts as a job and looking at it as like a work thing, because there's no win, because like I can't work on commissions 24/7 or I'll never work on anything of my own. But if I don't, then everyone who's commissioned me might be mad, and a lot of people are like, oh well, then just take commission good people, and there's like no way to know when someone's getting whether or not they're going to be the type that does this or the type that's ill when you post something else, and so I wrestled with that a whole lot in the year that I took my hiatus, of like whether or not this was one of the biggest contributors of why I wasn't even sure if I wanted to do art, as I don't want to do art as a job if it's going to be the kind of job where I can't do it for fun, like if I can never turn it off, if I can never, because unlike other jobs, art is a job with a social media presence built in. It's a job where you have to be online and you have to be like present, and you have to like have your online presence and maintain it and be, you still have to be you, but you have to be like on at all times, if that makes sense. Like you have to be a version of you that is presentable all the time. You have to be like a personality almost. And most other profession, you just walk in, do your work, collect your paycheck kind of thing. Art is one of very few, like art and music and professions like that, very few professions like that are this way where you have to have a persona, and you have to be on all the time, and like it being like that gives people this weird warped perception of what a professional artist looks like, if that makes sense. Because like a lot of pro artists who are doing really well have an editor or an art director, or something like that. And a lot of not pro artists, or a lot of hobby artists, or artists like me who like, I would consider myself a pro artist because I get paid to draw, but like pro artist in the sense of like, bigger name, works for a studio, kind of established. but like, you know, a lot of smaller artists and smaller creators, they're doing everything themselves. So like, I felt like while I was working really hard on my work, I felt like I was losing me, where I like couldn't be myself. Like I couldn't post anything about my own identity. I have two Instagrams. I have one for my dog and one for myself. And I changed the one for my dog into one, like, because the one for myself turned into my art Instagram, and then I felt bad about posting anything that wasn't art because, like, that was the art Instagram. Have art on it, and, you know, that's my own standard that I'm holding myself. But it is something that, like, people kind of expect if you are an art account. So, like, I had that, and then I got so fed up with it that I was like, okay, well, you know, I'll just change my dog's Instagram to my Instagram. And then I had someone who had commissioned me actually find my dog's Instagram and message me on there and ask me about something. And I was like, oh no, like, this cannot be a thing that you do. Like, I, of course, told this person that that's not appropriate, that's not okay, you can't go searching for someone, because you got a commission from them. And, like, within their right, commission was late, I understand. You know, I kind of went on hiatus and left the internet, which sucks for everyone involved, including me. Did not like doing it, so I understand where they're coming from, but, like, it's not safe for me. You know, like, I just went through kind of talking about, like, my ex and how they're out there trying to find me, and I had to, like, leave the internet so that they couldn't, and it's scary. And so it just, like, when something like that happens for me, it's like, I don't use the term triggering lightly, but it's triggering. Like, I need to be able to have a space of my own where I can just be me, and I don't have to be professional me. I don't have to be the me that, you know, has to be on all the time, the me that has to be, you know, on point and edited and, you know, well established and all of this all the time. And I needed a place for that, so I was like, oh, I'll just make my dog's Instagram a place where I do that, because, you know, I love my dog and I can post about my own stuff there, in a cutesy little way. And when that happened, when someone, like, found my dog's Instagram to bother me about a commission, I say bother, but, you know, like, no harm, no, like, shame to this person. Sometimes people just don't know the right etiquette, and I get that. Like, it's not 100% their fault. They have done it, but, like, I understand where they're coming from, and life's hard for people. I get it. Not even, like, that this life was hard or anything. I don't think people understand. So I can kind of understand not understand. But it just sent me into this, like, awful spiral of not feeling safe and not feeling like I had anywhere to be myself, and not feeling like I could continue creating. So this is what's gonna happen whenever I go offline or don't speak for too long. And I didn't want to live like that, and I still don't. I still don't want to live like that. So, kind of got me into, you know, thinking about kind of what I was talking about earlier of just, I don't want to be in that headspace, and I didn't know if I wanted this in my career, because I didn't want to have to be present and be, like, a personality all the time. And I really struggling with it for past year, until I came to the conclusion that if I want to see change in how artists are treated, or how the art world is kind of handled, I kind of have to build it, you know? Like, I don't have to, but I can be an example of what is right, you know, and what people should do. And it's not just bad for, you know, the artist, it's also bad for the person who is getting that commission to think of the artist that way, to think of artists as, you know, beholden to you just because you've given them some money to do something. And I'll bring it back to like, no other job is like this. No other job is your boss paid you, you know, a certain amount of money so that they can find you in your house, and that's okay. Like, no other job has that. No other job has I paid you money, so I am allowed to walk into your house and eat from your fridge. But for some reason, artists are treated this way, and everyone thinks it's fine. And so, like, I realized that kind of the only thing that I could do about it was talk. But, you know, maybe talking about it is what we need to do. And I know I'm not the only artist to talk about this. There's always someone out there who's smarter, who's found the answer faster, who's been around longer, who has talked about it before. But it's definitely something that hit me in the past. Of like, oh, that's a problem. And that's a problem that I don't know if I'm equipped to solve. But I think talking out about it and like saying, oh, hey, this isn't okay, you shouldn't treat artists like this, is the first step, you know, in finding the correct sort of way to handle it. And I think there is probably some give and take here, where, you know, I think there are plenty of artists out there who do take advantage of other people. There are a lot of scam people who will money and run kind of situations that happen a lot when it comes to commission. So I get the panic. I get where people are coming from, where like, oh no, I haven't heard a response from the person. They're drawing something else now, and now I'm scared because I paid them money, and I'm worried that it's going to take my money. And like, I understand where the fear comes from, and I feel like there would be a lot more security with some more transparency or understanding that this is a job that has hours, that has regular hours, that can have regular hours if you let it. And a lot of younger artists also need some training in that as well, because there are a lot of younger artists who don't see it as a job with regular hours, who like will work into the dead of night to get something done, who will, you know, forego eating, forego like things that they need to do for their bodies to get things done. Isn't healthy, not the way that art should function, in my opinion. And so there's a lot of like artists out there who have bad standards, who take little or not enough, who take jobs for things that are, you know, pennies, paid pennies, a lot of work, and it sets a bad precedent for everyone in the art community. When people do that, it kind of sets this thing who are commissioning other artists at like, oh, it's okay because this other artist said it was, and I want that to stop. Like, I want better conditions for everyone, and that includes the people that feel like they can only have value if they underprice their work and, you know, like, don't take breaks and all that stuff. So maybe one day I'm hoping that like talking about it and very bored about my own sort of like my own boundaries when it comes to my work. I feel like being forward about that. Hopefully that does make sense. Definitely a weird. Yeah, it's just been sort of how I've been thinking. Like, weird. It's been a rough few now because I adjusted everything. Oh my god. But yeah, it's been a rough couple years. It's been a weird time. Everything is now crooked. I am sorry, I'm like reading over lines on my glasses. Whatever. But yeah. Weird couple years. I've also recently I've just come down from COVID in the past 2 weeks. So I have been in a weird way for a while now after COVID. No, it wasn't bad, you know, nothing bad. I didn't end up having any pain. Really weird. I was just very sick for like a week and a half. Like I had fever, general, you know, COVID symptoms. I'm okay now. I'm clean bill of health. They have told me that I can go back to work, and I have been. But you know, I did have COVID for a bit, so weird brain recently because of it. Very odd sort of situation. Like everything seemed weird. Everything seemed like not real, and I know that that's one of like the symptoms of COVID. So you know, of course, definitely something that I had to deal with. But yeah, COVID. I don't recommend it. Highly don't recommend it. It's not a fun sickness to get. So take care of yourselves. Try your best to be careful when you're out in public. But yeah, so I got over the COVID, and like the whole world kind of like snapped into place, and I was like, oh, I see. Oh yeah, I need to, you know, take care of life, because I was kind of like just floating through things before I got COVID, and then I sort of had like, I don't want to say like a life scare, because I wasn't really afraid for my life or anything like that, but like, you know, I had one of those like moments that seemed to be once in a lifetime kind of thing. That's what I wanted. Sorry, I was like thinking about my next steps here on but yeah, I had like a weird sort of once in a lifetime illness, and then I was like, I see, so I must myself. Gotcha. Yeah, it was definitely a very kind of odd situation. But if you do get COVID, especially the newer variant, the advice that I kind of have: stay home, stay inside, take care of yourself. For me, Tylenol really worked, which acetaminophen really worked well. Really liked that seemed to help. But if my like voice and like nose and like I'm doing this a lot, that's because of the I can breathe through my nose now, but I still am like a little stuffy. Still like there's just something in there that like won't come out, like swelling or something. So I'm still like having some issue, but it's better than it has been a time in the past couple, you know, weeks. So I'm fortunate to not have too much issue with anything, no complications or long COVID. But I definitely recommend being really careful. You never know. Never know if you're gonna be one of the ones. Bad results. Yeah, so that's been my most update. You guys, I got COVID. Which is also really funny because I was like talking about all the I don't feel like anything that I make can be relevant because everyone is over everything so quickly, and then of course like immediately as I was having, you know, those sorts of thoughts, I was like, oh yeah, and I have COVID, and like when everybody else has already made I had COVID video, So yeah, it's an interesting, fun time. Don't recommend COVID though. That's what my life updates have been like recently. Anyone who hasn't seen me, or, oh, what's going on? Oh, I had COVID. Oh, really? Which I feel like a lot of people have been having that. Oh, what's been going on with you? I had COVID. But I also, with like wanting to release the comic, and all that stuff going on, I've also been kind of about I never really like super got into making YouTube content. Like, it was a goal of mine a couple years ago. Like, I wanted to make videos, but I just never really had the time. I never like find time to do it because I was always so busy. But now I want to have, and I have some cool stuff that I really want to make. So hopefully it to making it. I've just been kind of thinking about how I want to, loud bus going by, how I want to like relaunch if I do end up doing content stuff. Definitely need some sort of like, this is another thing I struggle with a lot too, but I really want to have some sort of relaunch happen if I start making YouTube content, because it has been so long and like completely dead. It never really was alive to begin with, so I don't know why I say, oh, it's dead. It's like really started. Like, I had some videos, and if you go to the channel now, there's on there where you can watch like past streams, because the biggest thing that I was trying to do was upload VODs at the time. But like, you know, I a little dead, and I really wanted to make some content, but before I wanted to get that up there, I wanted to make kind of rebrand everything. I've been going through like, I guess, weird whole thing where I want to rebrand my entire existence. One of the first videos that I wanted to have looked up for new content was a like logo making video. I might still post that, but just, you know, rebranding everything, making everything more, you know, something that I wanted, putting everything out there the way that I started, and my goal, just like when I first started streaming, wanting to get into more public with art, I had this like goal of making a like public persona, I guess, way to say it, a very public version of me that could be put out there, and I really wanted this version of me to not be, I wanted to have some separation there, some like, you know, ways that I could keep it, you know, from linked back to who I am person, for obvious drama and other, and by doing that, I kind of made this persona that was like not who I am and hard to make, and I didn't struggle too much with it, but I did have this like struggle of like, oh, I just don't want to work because I don't feel like anything that I'm putting out there, like anything that I'm making or drawing, is me. And so I tried really hard to make like very marketable version of me that, like, you know, I could be happy about or whatever. You'll see in my if you go on my stream and like look at my you know, my profile picture or my logo or any of that stuff. It's very, I wouldn't say cutesy, but it's definitely like got a very different vibe than who I am as a person. If that makes sense. And I've always drawn myself differently than what I look like, because I draw myself without glasses and with giant horns, obviously. But like I've never gone that far out of my realm before. Usually when I draw myself or I create a persona for a stream, I am like drawing a more amped up version. You know, like I'm drawing a style of me that I can. Sorry, reaching over for the lights. We bump anything? No, we look okay. But yeah, I usually draw like a version of me that's and this time a couple years ago when I started all of this, it was not a version of it was a version of me that is good and marketable and fun and upbeat, all that stuff. And not to say that I'm not those but it definitely like didn't fit the vibe of the stuff that I create. And I've always, you know, had that as like a background struggle as well, talking about the thing that I just have trouble with. But I've always had this like background struggle of like, how to marketable persona or version of me that I'm happy with. And I think recently I just decided to not. And I know that sounds weird, but I spent all these years like making this like super marketable little like, you know, version of me, this little like cute, like posable little version, and like everything I was gonna do, the cute little like have a little, you know, drawing of you that moves, little like stock drawings, and I might still do something like that, but I had that idea, and then like every time I look at that drawing now I'm just like, it's not me, I don't understand. So it just feels weird to put it up there and have it as a representation. And it's the same with a lot of my branding. I've been looking at branding that I made, started everything, realizing that it just doesn't like who I am as a. I've wanted to fix it for a while and I just haven't had the time or energy, so I just kept going. But recently I made a new logo for me, one that I actually like, happy to. So maybe in the next few months I'll have like a logo video talking about what I wanted logo, because I have some footage of making it. That'll come out and I'll be able to discuss a little bit of like why I'm going through this big rebrand and everything. It's not that big or important, but it's definitely kind of thing that I never thought I would have to do as much as I need it, you know? And so I've just been bouncing back and forth over whether or not I want to release that, or if I want myself. A lot of things work through and about with that sort of. But yeah, that's kind of where I've been with like making YouTube content recently. Kind of like considering whether or not I want to go on with the vibe I was going with, to be really odd place to be, I guess. But who knows? Maybe I'll come out of this with like a brand new logo that I really love. The logo that I made I do like a lot, because I was also struggling a lot with like the idea that like for the longest time my logo was my face, and I think my old logo is still up on stream, so like go look at some of my older stream videos. still see the logo in the corner. And I like, I don't know, struggled so much with just my face. It just feels weird to have my logo be my face. Go right off. So I made a new logo that I do like, and then like making that, I was like, oh yeah, this will be great because then it will be face. Like I can actually work and worry about being weird and embarrassed about like the logo and all that stuff. So like, you know, hopefully that comes to pass. But that's just been like a thing that I've had to sort of mull over whether or not I wanted to have that logo. If I wanted to have any logo, which obviously I decided to have one. And then if I wanted my logo to have, I'm not gonna like spill the logo that I decided on. If you have me on Patreon, you already see my profile picture on there. I think it's also my profile picture on a couple of other, but yeah. So like I wasn't really sure what I wanted to go with either. I just knew like, oh, I need to have one that I can put out there that's not me or my face, but that like still encapsulates, hard word to say, my identity in a way, and my real identity, not just like, oh, my like drawing persona where I like draw things, like all that stuff. Like I wanted something that was my actual identity, who I am as a person, that felt real and that felt like I spent so long at art school stressing out because my professors told me that I had to be marketable, had to like exist in a certain way to do that, had to like think really hard about how I wanted to market myself, where I wanted to go with my art, that kind of stuff, which like it is good advice in some sense, but it really stressed me out and made me almost make a persona of myself that isn't who I am, because I was so stressed about my identity as an artist. Like I don't even know who I am as a person, let alone who I am as an artist. Like why are you asking me this? So it like really freaked me out, and I couldn't really focus on being myself because of it. So like making the new logo, I'm hoping that I can really kind of put myself out there a bit more with it. This is that I really like the face. I don't know what's wrong with it. Something off about it. Cool. Yeah, I'm normal. Where I've been coming from all over. So I hope amusing to watch me around with painting a way that I know, not the way that like I said in the beginning, I've kind of been going through like a little bit of a rebrand, like art style shift. I mean, both rebrand and art style shift, both happening. And I'm kind of been going through my art, letting it happen, instead of trying my best to like a clean sketch and stuff, which is another thing that like in art school was kind of hammered into me, is like, oh, you have to have clean lines and clean sketches, draw cleanly. I've never been a person that does that. Never been that kind of artist. I've always been the kind of artist that extremely messy, no reason in, always sort sort of, you know, like I take my time and I'm like this, obviously, right now. But like I'm also just a really messy painter, and I've always been. So like going through art school and having them be like, oh yeah, you should have really clean paints by now. I can't do that. I never have been able, never been a cleaner. Always been the type to like kind of messily mush a bunch of color around and then get something that I enjoy, you know? And I feel like there's a lot of artists in the same boat that are this like sort of messier type of artist, but like they're never allowed to be because of the emphasis on cleanliness in art school. I knew a lot of my art school that were definitely messy as an artist and had to tighten up their work and clean it for their classes. And I wouldn't say I'm the most messy artist that I know. I'm definitely up there. Like I've been kind of experimenting with doing things more as you can, kind of sketchy, painterly style, and I'm really liking it. Oof, knocked my microphone. I'm really enjoying this sort of like more messy approach, in the more casual approach that I don't have. Yeah, I'm super enjoying focusing more on the vibe and mood of something as opposed to trying my best to make a really clean piece of art. Like part of the reason why I really wanted back to streaming and streaming today specifically, I have a couple of commissions coming up that I had been working on this past like week that have sucked. Been a while making art. I wouldn't say it's like I haven't made art in the past year, but it's definitely been one of those where like curious in the past year. So I like was major struggle with these, like majorly. Couldn't focus, couldn't make anything, couldn't really think what I wanted them to look like kept trying to like make one thing and then go the other way and then another thing the other way. It like was not working out for me. So I was hoping that doing a fun sort of warm up, I guess it is exactly as I thought I would. I just really needed to do something like do drawing that wasn't stressful, that wasn't gonna like freak me out. Sometimes doing stress me because like the one I was working on before I did this, before I would like made the decision to press start stream, it's a really I wouldn't say complicated, but it has like a background and figures, intricate stuff, and I did a like grayscale comp for it. So like comps are these like kind of free drawings that you do. They're like drawings. They're like, you know, almost finished drawings. They're not like tired. They're not like fully done. They're sort of like in between being fully finished and not. So like you do the sketch and then you do this like pre-drawing called a comp, where it's like, you know, I've added in grayscale, or I've added in detail, or I've done the line art, or you know, something like that. For me, I do grayscale comps because grayscale is an easy way to get a lot of detail and a lot of stuff under that. It's an easy way to get a lot of detail to the piece. That's easy to read and easy for the client to see without a lot of effort on my part if the client wants to change something, so I don't have to like go back and completely redo a piece. If I have a grayscale comp, I can paint over top of the grayscale more often than not and fit whatever the client wants. So I did this grayscale comp, right? It fit my client, obviously, but equivalent to my client. Client really enjoyed it, had a couple of changes, that was it. I was really pleased with that, so I was like, okay, cool. I will working on color, and then I realized while working on color version of the comp that I don't paint color like I used, because I used to just paint the colors on like an overlay or a color layer with Clip Studio or Photoshop or whatever I was using. I would just sort of like paint a color layer and then put that over top of the grayscale, and that would be my color comp. That would be, okay, here's the preliminary of what the colors might look like when it's done, but I will add detail and more colors as we go. Usually with color comps, I would do like a color palette, and I'd be like, hey, pick a color from a color set from this colorway, and we'll go from there. So I gave my client a couple of color palettes. Hey, pick a color set, and then I'll color comp. So I was working on color comp, and just was not going. Just wasn't going. Just like looked awful. Wasn't really like working the way I wanted it to. Nothing was coming out the way I wanted it to. It's like bad, all around bad. Not a good time, not fun. And I like kind of realized that my art has changed so much in the past year that I don't really work like that anymore. That like working with the color comp the way that I was just isn't the way I work. It just like I just don't work. My eyes don't do that anymore. Like it's really weird, but like it's a change that I noticed. I just don't think about color as like a really important kind of like part of things now. Like I think about grayscale comp and like that kind of stuff, but like when I'm doing my color, I do it like this, like the way that I'm doing now, with this like very painterly, like I lay all the colors on top of each other and just like layer. And back before, when I set up the way my commissions worked, I didn't paint. I was still doing like the very traditional like comics artist thing, which is to do these like line art and then colors, like line art, flats, and then colors. So I set up my commissions with that in mind. I was like, okay, cool. So commissions, I'm gonna charge line art, flats, and then colors. And then that's just not the way it works at all. Like I don't do flats ever, even with my comic. Like even with the comic that I'm about to release, I don't do flats. I kind of do, but like I don't, not in the way that like normal comics artists flats. I don't like I paint, and you would like each of my pages is painted. I think that would take forever, and it sometimes does, but is the kind of like painted where I lay down base, like I can kind of sketch, but like say I am painting this box, right? Like little box. I will color in the box entirely, and then I will lay a mold on the box. So now the only thing that will happen with that box is I can color the box but nothing behind it, and then I will add painterly shading on sides of the box. So, I want the light to be orange, I'll do. But like, that's what I do. And some people consider that flatting, but I don't, because normally flatting, if I was doing the exact same thing, I would take my lasso fill tool and say I'm doing a box. I would lasso fill the whole box. Oh yeah, I have that. I would lasso fill the whole box, right? So then I have line art around this little rectangle. And then I would be like, okay, so for my highlights, I'm gonna lasso fill highlights. And then for, what if there's like a leaf in front of the, like leaves, and then lasso fill those. And then from there you just keep adding things kind of with the lasso fill tool, and then you add your shading after that. So then after the fact, I can kind of go back in. These would all be on separate layers, but I would like, you know, blend whatever I needed to do on top of it. And I still work that way sometimes, but more often than not, I work like this. More often than not, I just, you know, use my paintbrush as if it is the fill. Paint a line art, paint around it, and then go back in with the color hold on and just my highlights and shadows. So that's kind of been how I've been working recently, with everything. And then I like realized that, like, oh, I didn't really account for that when I was doing my commissions years ago. Made my commission. So it's been a weird time of working through everything, like finding a weird like middle ground that works for me. But I realized that while I was doing that commission today, and last night I was going through the commission and I was like, oh no, oh, I don't work this, or which is always a really weird realization to have about yourself as an artist. Just, you know, have artwork has changed a lot, and mine definitely has. So kind of realized that I don't work like that anymore, and then had to like take a break and, you know, decide, oh, I guess stream time. I guess I'm gonna, you know, get back to streaming, and maybe while I'm streaming I'll find a way to do art that, you know, isn't so weird for me. That's kind of where I've been coming from recently with like making stuff. I've just been looking for ways to make things that doesn't feel weird anymore, which is always a fun kind of place to be in with art, where it's like, oh, I would like to find a way to, you know, create this thing without feeling very strange about it. But just in that boat, I hope to be out of it. I really, really want to be done experimenting and finding new things about my art. I would like to have an art style, and I would like to be cohesive. But that's something that I've also never had as an artist. I've never had like a clean art style that I could rely on, that I could look at, like, I'm happy with this is what I want to make, you know? It's always been pulling teeth. Have any sort of art style whatsoever, have any kind of like professional looking, you know, style that I could like really get behind. So, you know, in the near future I will have one, but it's just, oh, it's been a lot thinking about, you know, I don't even know what kind of art style I would want to have if I had one. I don't know. But, you know, it just goes to show, like, it doesn't matter how long you've been making art, you still are gonna check stuff that you do. Right now, the whole art style debacle and worrying about, like, mission, worrying about my art not looking the same as it did and all that stuff, that's all stuff that I, like, so, you know, it all comes back around. Now, like how nose is drawn, that started the struggle of my life. Exactly how close. Really focusing. I don't know what's looking edge. I think it's that I sketch much larger than I know. Like that shape. Edges. Under part. Okay, that's a bit better. Not the exact note that I drew, but it's better. I've also been another thing working with, really working on like shapes that aren't just the same face that I always draw. So I really want to. I also noticed that like I know what Link looks like, and everyone draws Link the exact same. I wanted to kind of not do that. I wanted to have like fun thing. Oh man, and the other day I was talking to a friend about like possibly going back to and things, and I've been really excited about if I do go back to doing cosplaying, what kind of cosplays I would do. And one of the ones that I've been so I've been listening to this podcast called Hello from the Hallow Wilds or Hallowoods. Really good podcast, super fun to listen to. But I've been listening to that recently, and it is so fun. But there's a character that I really like that I've been thinking about cosplaying from. If I do go back to cosplaying, I'll probably cosplay. I've been having the funnest time kind of planning that out. Maybe I'll draw him. I really wanted to draw some fan art from the Hallowoods. It all happens. But yeah, I've been really considering get back into cosplay. Like, I cosplay fun. Yeah, any cosplay suggestions? So let me know. I'll probably not take them because they're very particular, but you know, always tell me and I can always ignore you. But I've been really excited for that. I cannot wait to get back. Cosplay stuff, all kinds of other fun things. kind of broadened the iris a little bit, sort of more Breath of the Wild kind of art style. That has come to bite me in the butt. Originally, Sketch was actually not Link. This was actually of Lottie from the Minish Cap. I love Lottie and I love the Minish Cap, so I originally had the idea draw Lottie, but I'm probably still gonna do that, so I'm not gonna tell you too much about my idea, but that's what this sketch was. It was originally Lottie. I have made it into Link, like the pose Link, and idea. The like very visible tunic here, and stuff. I made it. That's why the face is a little different than normal, than I know draw Link, and also why like some of the other stuff is. Purple palette. This is also, you're seeing in real time, me experimenting. Palette that I built for, that I'm like fully have not been using. I built it, I made it, that I would paint, as I realized that painting is the thing that I do now. I don't tend to do line art, so I built a palette for painting. But like I haven't used this palette at all to make a piece yet, so this is entirely brand new. Also fun little thing about this palette that I built for painting is that I built it from the painting palette that I actually own, from like my actual watercolor palette. I literally took my watercolor palette and I used it to this, because I knew I would need a good cohesive like set of colors that I could rely on, and I also knew that I like the other struggle that I've been going through is I recently have liked a lot of my traditional art much more than digital art. I say recently, like a truth in general, I feel like my digital art is very so I got this palette that I have been using for my traditional work, and I decided like, oh, smart thing to do would be to model what I use for my digital work with my traditional palette, because if I use the exact same colors, then it'll come out kind of looking like my work, or at least I hope it will. That's kind of a hypothesis that I want to test right now, is like, if I use a palette that is from my traditional work, will it make me like my work the way that I like my, or do I just have to become a traditional artist that I can roll over? I've been considering that since I did Drawtober a few years ago. I just am meant traditional artist. I wouldn't fully be against harder to make things and get it onto the artist. Definitely a little bit more effort. Hard for me. But yeah, I hope that this sort of changing of palettes helps me be able to make more stuff that I'm happy with. My biggest gripe is that when I work digitally, I end up unhappy with a lot of what I make. When I work traditionally, I end up pretty satisfied with a lot of what I want to sort of fix that. Happy with everything. Wild. So hopefully this will help that. I'm liking how this is going. Good. Actually, likely happy with. And we have kind of the beginnings, actual paint. Do the background. All of the little touch-up stuff. Add some more detail. Outfit. One of the last things before I close this out, because about 10 a.m. It's about 1 p.m. now, so about 3 hours. Take like 10 or 15 minutes. In these last 10 minutes, I'm gonna add the belt that goes right here. Oh, he has like a braided belt. And that'll be the last thing that I had for today, at least. Might be back painting this later, or I might just finish it off stream. Still haven't decided if I want to do that more frequently, because like 3 hours, I mean, I can speed paint something in 3 hours, but that's with a lot of practice, and that's something that I have to gear myself up to do. But I'm kind of like experimenting time that I want to have this be for, because they used to be 4 hours long, like 2 to 4 hours, and they used to be sort of like not really lengthy, but sort of like, you know, like these like weirdly not really planned out, like amount of time, you know, like this currently is not planned out, but like, you know, 4 hours start to finish painting kind of thing. And I'm still thinking about whether or not I want to alter that and have like a shorter, more planned and condensed stream, or if I want to continue the rambly or chatty kind of stream. Also, I've decided to keep a bow and arrow here, or not bow and arrow, but like a bow right here on his back. He's holding an arrow, so it only makes but yeah, I haven't really decided if I want to do more planned out, like cohesive, thought through, if I want instead have like very soft, like rambly kind of hangout streams like that. Maybe some combination of both. One day a week I'll do like a sort of rambly hangout stream. The rest will be planned. Obviously I always tend to have at least a sketch to do, or something to work on streaming. Always something going on, but you know, like planned, meaning like I do a challenge or something like that. So I've been kind of thinking about what I want to do. I've also been considering whether or not I should do October or OC for this year, just because of the way I've been feeling about art in general, and whether or not I feel like it's a good idea. But keep everyone posted on that, whether or not OC-tober is going to be happening. If it does, I might not do them as streams. I might do them as videos, just because streams are a little hard to set up for. In the past years that I've done it, I have done like I've set up a top-down camera to capture like me physically drawing and physically working on it, but I'm not sure if the top-down camera is gonna work for this year, just because I have a lot of stuff on my desk, and because if I do it as a video set, I can begin editing stuff sooner, and like, just to be realistic myself, every time I've done anything like OCtober or anything, I always get behind. Always. I have never been able to like fully finish like on the day that I'm supposed to. I have finished the challenge, but never like on the 31st or whatever. It's always been like, oh, I still have to do some editing to the last 3, and then my last set comes out at the beginning of the next month. And I've really resented that, and like realistically, to fully finish my pieces in the month, I feel like I need to start them before the month starts. And I know that a lot of people see that as like, oh, that's cheating, oh, that's so dumb, and all that stuff. But like, it's simply just as a result of like an adult having responsibilities and a life that does not draw every second of every day, you know. Like, I have a day job now, another life up. I have like, it's still art related, but I have a job. I have things to do today that I have to get done as an adult. So like, I can't just like take 3 to 4 hours per day to finish drawing. There are some people that do, Inktober, Arttober, OCtober, all that stuff, that don't do drawings that take 4 hours. There are some people that like shorten their workload lighter, and there's like merit to that, but I'm not one of those people. I've never been able to shorten my work in that way. I've always been kind of artist that on time, and like taking me a while to kind of honor that, but I want to, if I'm gonna take the time, if I'm gonna make something, I'm going to finish it, and I want to hold myself to that standard. In the past I haven't been great at doing that, but in the future I want to. So I've been really contemplating ways that I can handle that upcoming year. Seems like the realistic way to do it would be start early on time. If I do OCtober, it might be a video series that might come up on YouTube instead of that about she maybe has woken up. I feel bad about that, but I know that for me, most healthy way to do it. All of that, yes, that's kind of all of my life update. Not like a whole ton. Other than Patreon is back up and running. I'm still adjusting a little bit, but it's around. So if you want to donate, that is go. There should be a link down below for that. If you can't find the link, let me know. They're easy. If not, no big deal. I do not care. Do not have to pay me money. Please don't. In fact, I would much rather you please go buy something for your parents instead, or like your friends, something. Like, I would much rather that go to an actual place, but I'm not gonna turn it down. Send some my way. I also have been posting some updates on there with I'm working on the stuff, so if you ever want what I'm doing, and I'm not very active on other social media like it's stuff. I'd say the most active social media that I have right now is Instagram. I'm super not active on Twitter. I still am locked out of my Twitter, I think. So I haven't been on Twitter in a while. I got locked out sometime last year. Never cared to be back on. Twitter for me, a place that makes me very unhappy. So I have had to kind of remove it from my life. Not fully. I do plan on being back on Twitter eventually, but you know, I had to take a break along with everything. So probably can't find me on there. Probably find me the most easiest on Instagram. Just appalling hints on Instagram. I'm appalling art pretty much everywhere else. But want to find me? Not hard to do. Same everywhere I go. So super easy. I hope all of this rambly, chatty, hey I'm back stuff somebody out there. And I hope to be back to drawing, painting, and being on stream soon. Currently, I don't really have a stream schedule. Sucks a little bit, but I plan on having that schedule eventually. Right now, I want to be kind to myself, and I want to make sure that I am putting myself first when it comes to doing things. So I don't want to have a stream schedule because I don't want to hold myself like a whole do it. I know my brain, and I know that if I make a schedule now, I will. If I miss a day, I will beat myself up about it. I will be mad at myself about it for months, and then it will stop me from being, which is a big issue that I've realized in myself. Is I diagnosed I get a lot of anxiety around not being like feeling like I've failed with things if I make one sort of slip up, you know, like not even slip up, but like, you know, if I don't set a goal that I have made for myself that no one else cares about, I will still feel like a failure, and I will be unable to work, because I'll feel like I've ruined everything by not going onto a stream that no one even watches, you know what I mean? So I can't really set like a stream schedule right now until I'm content with where I am with streaming, until I'm more consistent, have more of like an idea of what I want to do with my stream, go with it, what I want to create. So I can't really do that right now, but you know, maybe in the future I'll have a little bit of a schedule that we can get and joke about, and think about like, but I don't want to hold myself right now. I want to be here and make cool stuff and paint and talk and have fun times. All I want to focus on right now. Yeah, kind of where I'm at, kind of where everything is, where this painting is at right now. I know that this was really chill and rambly. Big stretch like a cat. Really chill, really rambly stream today. Really not a lot of work done, but you know, some effort made. Some very bitter tea consumed. I've just left my tea bags in there. Never do that, by the way. I did that because I made when I was having breakfast, and then I forgot about it, so it's just sitting on my desk, and I forgot to take the tea bags out, and now I have to drink it because it's wait, if I don't. But yeah, don't leave your tea bag. Bad idea. But yeah, really rambly stream today. Really chill time. Not a lot of setup. Not a lot of shenanigans. Half of the stream was broken. Most of the time it will be, probably. I don't really have... I just plucked something off of my headphones. My headphone little... I don't know if you can even... that little headphone dude. Fully broken now. But yeah, I plan to eventually have the stream set in a way that makes end. But currently I'm not gonna put that on myself, because if I hold out for the day that I feel happy about it, I will never stream. And I feel like a lot of people might be able to relate to that, but the ADHD and the sense of foreshortened future and weird vibes of like, you know, if I hold out until I have a nice computer, I'll never get anything done. If I hold out until I have the right equipment, I'll never do anything. So part of contributing to not streaming for a year was I didn't feel like I had the right equipment to do it. I've been streaming off of a terrible little laptop this whole time. Still am. My laptop has a lot of RAM, good graphics card, but it's still a laptop. It's still not a desktop or anything like that. So I had been streaming out of that, out of my tiny little studio apartment. You can even see like my trash bin behind me, and all of that. So I've just been, you know, feeling like hot carpet about my efforts. I can't just hold myself to a bad standard and expect things to get fixed. That's not how it works. Not how anything. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with stream, with updates, with life, everything. I hope in the future I have less rambly, more fun streams, but today is really rambly, really chill time drawing some Breath of the Wild 2 fan art because I can. Future I'll have some actual like fun stuff to talk about, but that's it for today. I think I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna make some lunch. Fun. I hope everyone has a great rest of their day and rest of their weekend. Happy Fan Art Friday. It is actually Fan Art Friday. I forgot to say that at the beginning, but Fan Art Friday. I'm getting back into the stream. Hopefully in the future some more fun things to come. We'll keep you all posted. Follow me on social. Hang out whenever you want to hang out. No obligation. We'll be here at the very least the next time I have something to say and something to draw. Hope everyone has a great day. See you the next time.